Detachment is really one of the biggest keys to success. You need some level of detachment to actually get you to where you want to go. The reason why is because when you have a level of detachment, you see things in a realistic point of view. You don't have idealistic ways of thinking about things, and you don't have negative ways of thinking about things. You have a more of a realistic standpoint. Detachment has a negative stigma linked to it, because most people see detachment as not being emotionally available or not being in tune with yourself or even in tune with the world around you. But it's much deeper than that, Detachment has a level of freedom, because when you have a level of detachment, you see the world as how it's supposed to be seen rather than how you would like it to be seen or how you would like it to be. And the way to get to this level of detachment is by realizing that you're one of 8 billion humans that live in an 8-planet solar system that is part of a galaxy in the universe. You're just a blip. So whatever you do, don't place too much importance on it, because it wasn't important to begin with. There's, of course, negative ways to go about detachment, but there is also positive ways. And once you go about it in a positive way, you see the light in the end of the tunnel. And once you go about it in a positive way, you actually see the benefits that it provides. So I'll be talking about that today, and how to attain that, and how to succeed while attaining that. The dictionary definition of detachment is the art of separating and the state of being disconnected. Why that's very important is because it allows you to not place yourself in the actual situation or not place yourself in the emotion that comes with the situation. You are more in a free flow. The healthy way to do this is to be present but detached. You have to find a middle ground. Once you find this middle ground, you will go about the detachment theory very, very well, because you will see that just because you're detached doesn't mean that you're not present in the moment. Ways to go about being present in the moment while being detached is you need to ask yourself certain questions, okay? These questions are something that is very important, because you have to ask yourself present questions. Questions like, how am I feeling right now? Not how do I always feel? And questions like, how is this benefiting me right now? Not how is this going to benefit me? It's more of a process thing. And the more you align yourself with being present and asking yourself the questions that attain to what's happening right now rather than being attached to a certain outcome, the more you realize that you have the freedom of deciding and the freedom of changing while you're going. You're not actually locked into one idea. You have very much space in your head. You have a lot of space in your head. You have a lot of space to decide. So this theory, or this way of being, really comes from just experiences that you get in life. And to fast track that without really having the hard experiences is to just look deeper, look further than just yourself. Look broader than just what's happening in your life and your situations that you're in. You have to think about situations as in what is going on right now. Don't think about situations as in what is going on, because you have to have a perspective that shows you that you have the freedom to decide what you're going to make of every situation. Detachment allows you to lay less importance on situations that you can't control. Because once you have an attachment to situations that you can't control, it kind of limits you in a way, because you're thinking too much about the actual thing rather than thinking about how you can get out of it or how you can manipulate it or how you can even change it. You're not thinking about progress. You're thinking about stagnation. You're in a steady ground whereby you don't change the situation. Life is about change. Life is about growing. Life is about evolution, So the way to get to that point is to be free in your decision making. The only way to get there is detachment. When you're attached to a certain expectation, you tend to not look at the broader perspective. Because once you have a certain expectation in mind, you have no freedom to grow the idea. Every idea needs growth. Every idea needs evolution. Because once you evolve an idea, that's when it's becoming better and better and better. Rather than having a certain outcome or having a certain expectation of something, you have a view or a perspective that says, this is happening right now. This can change whenever. And I am responsible for that change. So by looking at it in that way, you have the freedom to decide where you want to go in life. The reason why this works so well is because you don't place too much importance on things that you can't change. I used to think to myself, why do things not happen for me? Why do things not come in the way that I would love them to come? And until I actually detached from the expectations that I was wanting in mind, once I detached from the expectations that I was having about a certain situation, my life started to flourish and things started to come into my life when I was just free thinking and when I would just let go and let God. God works wonders when you let go and let God, because the path has already been laid out for you. When you have a certain expectation, you cannot grow the idea into something greater, You limit yourself into thinking this is the way it has to be and this is the way it should be. And if it doesn't go this way, then I'm not going to do it. That is a very big limitation. Set yourself up for success. Let yourself know that no matter what, you will get there. Don't be attached to how you will get there. Because the road is not a straight road. It has ups and downs, So you have to prepare for those ups and downs. And how you prepare for those ups and downs is by not getting attached to how you're going to get to a certain outcome. And by not being attached to things that you cannot control. Because when you try to control things that you cannot control, life gives you so much curveballs. The only way to go about the curveballs is knowing that they're going to come and having a greater goal. Once you have that greater goal, you will know that you'll persevere throughout any hardship. Because once life gives you lemons, you make lemonade and you change negative situations or curveballs into positive situations. Because you feel the emotion and you're present in the emotion, but you don't let it control you. You don't let it become you. Once you detach from the emotion and you don't allow it to take over, you have a lot of leverage. A couple weeks ago, I told myself I would go to gym 4 times a week. Every week, I go 4 times a week to gym. And there was a day where I thought I set my alarm, but funny enough, it didn't ring in the morning. And what did I do? I woke up a little bit later than I intended. But because I wasn't attached to how I was going to get to that goal, I thought about an idea that would make me reach the goal without the intended way of reaching it. I intended to set my alarm, wake up in the morning, and go to gym. My alarm didn't ring. I woke up upset, of course, but I didn't let the emotion control me. I detached from the situation and I looked at it in a bigger view. I decided to go later in the day. Little things like that are very vital to every single step that you take. So I decided to go later in the day and I completed my 4-day week. That detachment allowed me to create another pathway into getting to my goal. Because once that one option doesn't work, you will surely give up. You have to have different parts of getting to the same goal. As the old saying goes, if you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, it's yours. If it doesn't, then it was never meant to be. So I hope this video today helped you realize that the only way to get to your desired goal as fast as you can is by having very little attachment to situations. Because once you have the detachment, you have the freedom to decide on where you want to go. Because you're not attached to a certain way to get an outcome. And you will realize that things come into your life the more you let them go. The more you don't place too much importance on things that you cannot change. I appreciate you for being part of this thought process. Thank you.